Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on English with Balaji. And we have been interviewing some people from different professions. And today we have an entrepreneur, and we are going to ask her about entrepreneurship. How did she take this step? And she's someone who is also into marketing. She helps a lot of college students to open up and become, to be shameless about who they are and talk in public. She's a great public speaker as well, and she conducts a lot of sessions. In fact, today when I called her, she was about to run into a session. And she is someone who does very interesting things. When I say interesting things, things that some of you might find crazy. I do not know how many of you would choose to randomly find a client when you are traveling on the highway. Just stop your car and decide to help one of the people who just sells some sweets or anything over there. And Hanushree, along with her team of five friends, they decided to become the marketing team for one such vendor, and they came up with some strategies on the spot. Within a matter of 2 hours, they helped this vendor increase her business. It's an interesting video. I think you must watch it on LinkedIn. Hanushree has posted it. And later, they got a big break when one of the cars stopped, and a doctor stepped out and bought the products, and she liked them, and she decided to immediately place a bulk order for her hospital canteen. I do not know how many people would choose your clients that way. She's a marketing specialist, uh, and I'm sure not everyone does marketing this way. I'm sure she gives you other suggestions in terms of how to market your services or your products, but this is one thing that she has dared to try. This comes across to me as a bold attempt, and someone who doesn't hold back from what they would like to try. I mean, a lot of us just think and not act. But she jumps into action, is what I gathered when I saw this video. She is a founder and marketing strategist with a proven record of scaling D2C startup from concept to state level seed funding. And she is a Harvard trained. Sorry, she is Harvard trained in managerial accounting and marketing analytics. She's an alumna of the Draper Startup House Founders Program. She brings hands-on expertise in GA4 GTM execution. I'm going to ask her a little bit about that because these sound like Greek and Latin to me. And she also helps people build their brand. Okay, so she helps with the brand architecture. And she also came up with a rebranding of something that she founded, Hello Fighter, which is an interesting brand. I would urge all of you to check this, which brings millets in an interesting package to the modern world, I would say. With that said, thank you so much, Hanushree, for joining us. And just a quick heads up on how I got to know Hanushree. Hanushree happens to be one of our guests' sister, Dr. Srinisha Murali, who was here, a dentist. And I see all both of their pictures together often. So, and when we spoke about public speaking, that is when Srinisha said, "My sister is extremely good at it." So then I thought I must. Then I asked her what she does, and then one after the other, I got a lot of interesting points about Hanushree. So without much delay, I immediately asked her. And Hanushree, thank you so much. Within a matter of a week, you have agreed to be here on this interview. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you so much, Balaji. So that's quite a glowing introduction that you had for me. So it's one of the really, really, really nice introductions that I've heard somebody give for me. So and the research is very visible here because when you go to a lot of these places and you talk to people, they don't really they have like a standard set of a script that they're reading out of, but this really shows that you've really taken the pains to see what it is that I've done and actually look back at what I've done and talk about. So I'm very touched by it. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here.
My pleasure, Hanushree. Hanushree, I'd like to start with the questions.
Yeah,
The first thing, as the first thing that actually intrigued me was the fact that you are extremely good at public speaking. And you are also urging others to become public speakers. Being a good public
yeah,
speaker is different from pushing others and inspiring others and motivating others to become public speakers and making them take action.
yeah.
What makes you do this, and how did you become good at public speaking?
So I would say it's a lot of I wouldn't I don't know if arrogance is the exact word, but it's more of that ability to be comfortable with being really shameless in
Mm,
what it is that you're doing. Because I found that it's not necessary that the more loud you are noticed, is more that the more vocal you are noticed, that people will be able to say, hey, I remember this person because they said whatever that day.
mm, mm,
Right? I feel that personal branding is really, really important. And in order to improve your personal brand, you kind of have to talk if you want
mm,
people to notice you. I found that, being a wallflower and hoping that people will notice your work generally doesn't happen because we're already bombarded with too much of information. And it's very
true.
hard for people to actually tell
Mm,
anything about you at all. So, how I found so the story that I think you read on my LinkedIn was I spoke about the art of being shameless at a college. So, people who are moving towards either entrepreneurship or if they're moving towards uh, sitting for placements or looking for jobs, I find it very hard for at least I see that it's very hard for them to make a mark in any of those places if they are really shy about talking about themselves. I think the discomfort of being of talking about yourself and your abilities is very palpable, especially amongst South Indians. Like we
mm,
have this a little bit of a very reserved attitude where like, no, we're okay, we'll do our work, we'll sit quietly, and but we'll do our things. We're very good at all of that, but the problem is if you want to be an entrepreneur or if you want to crack an interview, you kind of need to get comfortable with talking about yourself and your skills and your abilities. And it does involve a little bit of shamelessness and plugging yourself wherever you go, which means that you need to be comfortable with owning small skills, and you may not be necessarily an expert and you don't need to pretend to be an expert. You can just say that that is something that you're learning and that is something that you're comfortable with. So that's exactly what I wanted to bring out in college students and amongst anybody who is a fellow entrepreneur. I want them to get that ability to feel comfortable with talking about themselves and their abilities. It can be in a public forum on a stage, you can be a public speaker and grab the mic and talk, or you can be more comfortable talking to other people as well about what it is that you do. And who knows what door that's going to open for you, and why would you let go of that opportunity? So if you can bring that out in yourself, why not take it? So that's my whole idea of why I want to encourage more people to be comfortable talking about themselves.
so now here is another factor. When people speak more openly and when they turn out to be shameless, because I think that shameless part is a very, very important focus. One thing that stops us from being more open is that, okay, let's say I speak high of myself or the services that I offer, and then if something goes wrong, as they often might,
Mhm.
then how am I going to face the people, or maybe in some cases the media, or just the society or the social media, whatever it might be? And what do you think people should do if that fear stops them from being
Naturally
shameless?
so, but I found that when I asked the college students, so what really prevents you from talking about yourself or talking about a particular product that you're interested in, or a project that you're interested in, or a skill that you're interested in? They said, but I'm not an expert. So then
Hmm.
I asked them, okay, let's look around this room. Who is? Who is? The honest truth is that the people who are even at the top of their fields, I
Hmm.
don't think they go around pretending like they know everything about it, because they know that they have to keep learning. Every field, they keep learning. All the experts of the fields, they have that humility to understand that this field is beyond me and I will still keep learning over and over again. And it doesn't mean that, if, let's say, for example, if I were to learn GA4 or GTM or any of these kind of topics, it doesn't mean that I'm the expert of the world about it. I'm learning about it as well. What's important is adaptability.
Mm,
I if in your resume you say that you're good at Microsoft Excel, I could ask you, do you know everything about Excel? Do you know everything? Do you know the entire structure of it? You probably don't. And that's completely okay. The point is that you need to be interested in it and you need to be able to adapt and then keep learning further and further. So that shouldn't necessarily prevent you from saying that that's something that you're interested in. Something that you're interested in. That's all.
wonderful. So now let's take a scenario where people speak high of them and things don't happen as they want. And
Mhm.
let's say even an interview, and they get caught at some point in time and they become tongue
Yeah.
tied at that instance.
Yeah.
How can people handle this situation?
I would say that when you speak about yourself, it's not necessarily you're speaking really boastfully or really
Hmm.
highly of yourself, or you hold yourself in incredibly high regard. I think being vocal about what it is that you like and the skills that you're building is important with a touch of humility. So if you do mess up, I think you should have the humility to say, I don't know,
Hmm.
or even you don't even need to say, I don't know. Hey, how about I figure it out and I come back to you?
Hmm.
I think that ability is coupled with your ability to say, this is what I'm learning, these are the skills that I'm working on.
Hmm.
So that humility is very important.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So when I get to teach college students on interview skills, I tell them use this magic phrase as far as I know, and
It's fun.
tell the
Oh, yeah.
interviewer whatever you know. If you don't know anything, you can admit I'm afraid, I'm not sure of this particular area. Hanushree, as you mentioned about certain things that you know, I want to go back to this GA4 and GTM. I'm just curious to know what it is.
So GA4 is Google Analytics. It is a type of certification that
Mhm.
is for Google Analytics. So I don't want to go too deep into that because that's super technical.
Okay, okay.
But GTM here is go-to-market strategy.
Oh, okay.
So GTM is what every entrepreneur or every new founder should be knowing on how they're going to reach the market. So that involves understanding what your total market is going to be, how much you can service it, and how much you have the accessibility towards it. So that is something that not a lot of new founders are aware of because we're not taught these things. We sort of figure it figure it
Mm,
out as we go. But again, this is when like a lot of founders lose a lot of years, they lose a lot of time, and they get incredibly disappointed because I've been there and I understand that. So it's important to learn these things, and these are skills that you can pick up very, very easily. And these are there are many tools that are out there that will also be able to help you identify these things. And what also helps in at the end of the day is also talking to people, talking to whom your market is going to be. So having a very strong go-to-market strategy is very important when you're building any kind of business.
so as you said, most of us figure out as we progress. And when people start in self-employment, particularly if it's service-based, where they don't have to invest much from their pocket, right? The initial 20-30% growth is gives them a lot of boost because you start from a zero and you have done something you never thought you would uh, uh, achieve at any point in time. But now
Yeah.
at 30, 40, it just stalls. I mean, there is no more progress. It's like a plateau that you have hit. So what should entrepreneurs do in such situations?
So, um, so you mentioned I had a team of people. They were all
Hmm.
my friends and fellow entrepreneurs. What we have done very consistently is talk to each other. It's
Mhm.
very fortunate that I've been able to build enough of a network where there are founders who are like me, who are growing, who have already grown. And there are several people with whom I can concur and get a little bit of advice from. What we were taught when we went for a week-long workshop is that you should never be afraid to do course corrections.
Hmm.
So the problem is if you stay in a rut and you feel like you're kind of plateauing, maybe that's time to take a little bit of a step back to see at which point during the course do we change what we're going to be doing. What is it that we can add? Is
Hmm.
it, do we need to create some sort of other external value addition? Is there a skill that you're not currently possessing that might end up changing that 30-40% to just a little bit more?
Hmm.
So being agile is really, really important. So anybody, any of us can hit that plateau, but being agile enough to make changes, I think is really important. And being really introspective of that helps. Documenting a lot of it helps because then you can at least exactly see where it is you might be struggling, where you can create a small amount of a change. And talking to people also helps because you never know what ideas somebody else can have that might save what you're doing.
That's interesting. You pointed out this aspect that you talk to other entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurship is often considered as a very lonely journey where you
It
have to struggle.
incredibly is a very, very lonely journey. I think one of the most significant experiences that I have had in my life was that week-long workshop where I mentioned, where I had the fortunate privilege to be around so many entrepreneurs like myself. The struggle you face as an entrepreneur is so isolating, but somehow to know that there were around 40, 50 people who were having the same struggles as you, watching all of them on Canva designing things by themselves because you don't have a design team and you're doing all of those things by yourself, attending all of those client calls and doing all firefighting possible, whether it's accounting or other strategies or sales or whatever it is. It was such a comforting experience to know that you're not alone. And you won't believe the amount of insights you can get that are actually pointed because nobody has time for gyan.
Hmm.
Everyone needs pointed, directed advice. So when you surround yourself with a very positive and a very encouraging peer group who are almost at the same level or maybe a little bit higher than you where you can learn, I think that plays a significant difference.
So, and you mentioned about doing everything by themselves, and we get to see a lot about uh, entrepreneurship or running a business where people say that hire people, delegate tasks, and so on. But then small business owners cannot actually do that because they are yet to see that kind of money, which would, as long as they are not making money, it is they feel like it is their problem. But then if they cannot pay salary, then they feel like they are not meeting the expectations of someone who is completely dependent on them.
I'll tell you what, that is a different kind of fear altogether, where you're responsible for somebody else and their salary. It's a different kind of fear that will make you run very, very differently when you're responsible for other people's lives. But I will say that one of the greatest challenges as an entrepreneur who's so used to doing everything by themselves is handing over the reins to somebody else because you're expecting things to be done a certain way. I found that to be one of the largest challenges or that I have faced, and I've watched my peer group face as well. But I think it involves trusting people and letting them do what it is, and then giving them guidance to course correct or whatever it is that is needed. But I think as entrepreneurs, we have to slowly get out of that mindset where everything is done by us and
Hmm.
hand over the reins to somebody else. They're gonna mess it up, let them mess it up. They
Huh.
will learn the way you did.
So I like this point. They will mess it up, let them mess it up, and things are not going to be perfect.
Because
Uh,
I think it comes from a place where I know I've definitely messed up, and as well, anybody who's on a journey where they're building something of their own, being afraid of messing up is a very crippling thing, and that's
mm,
not something that should prevent you from letting somebody else grow or letting yourself grow. So I think being humble enough to accept that is very important. And one of the things that you had mentioned about us being on the side of the road and helping that
mm,
lady. So in So what was really interesting about that is because the rest of my team, we were all entrepreneurs as well. So we stood on the side of the road, came up with strategies to help her out. What was so unifying for all of us is that we're on the side of the road in the blazing Tirchangod heat, and we are trying to sell for her. And I think the thought that ran through all our minds was, so this is how our sales staff feel on an everyday basis. This is what they're going
100%.
through.
Yes.
So it created a level of empathy amongst almost everybody in that space, because now you know exactly how hard it is to make that say. And for us, a ticket value like hers may be incredibly small, but for her that day, everything changed. So many things changed that day.
Hmm.
So goes to show like 6 or 7 entrepreneurs putting their minds together and all their shared resources and shared brain power together. Like how cool, you change somebody's life.
It is very interesting when you mentioned about the sales team, because I also have some questions about negotiation. People do negotiate. They don't have a big challenge bargaining with somebody in a market or all that. But then when the stakes are high, maybe when a job is at stake, or when a business is at stake, or when getting a client is at stake, how much can you offer, or what are the terms? Because so many things go on in that person's mind, and you don't have this time to write down things and to get that clarity. You are there in the meeting, and you have to
I'll tell
get
you
the
what,
result.
it involves a lot of mental math, which I'll be very honest, I was not, still not am very good at, but it does involve a certain amount of mental math and being aware of a lot of numbers. And it's a skill that I have continuously attempted to learn because it's necessary for you to know. Secondly, a lot of thick skin is needed if you are
Mm,
doing any form of negotiation in marketing or sales. You need to be okay with rejections, but that doesn't mean you should always be getting
mm,
rejected. That's something that you kind of need to work on if that's what's always happening to you.
mm,
I think like a framework generally helps. How I would describe it is, if I were to create, let's say, 3 scenarios, scenario A, scenario B, and scenario C, where I know what the variables are, where I know what the variables are in terms of numbers and offerings and such whatever you're going to be offering, I would create 3 different scenarios or multiple scenarios where I can move those parts and see what we'll be okay with. These should be in your head no matter what. If you're going to be a freelancer or if you're going to be selling a product for a particular price, whatever it is. So these scenarios should be etched into your brain. Majority of the time in negotiation, somebody will fall within these scenarios. So
mm,
when they are falling within these scenarios, you should be prepared for all of them. That's why I think it's very important for marketing and sales teams to have continuous demos
mm,
and
mm, mm,
speak with, apart from clients, it's also important for them to come back, write down what was being asked, and see what part of course correction can be done there as well. So I think a lot of this involves practice. For me, I would view it as like, let's say this is a play or a drama or something. What you're doing is essentially practicing a script.
mm.
You're practicing a script. You're making sure that the variables on stage, like your scene partners and others, they may say this, they may say that. You need to be ready for that. It involves a little bit of improv, but that improv involves a little bit of calculation, and you need to be ready with both.
So have you been a part of improv, or any teams that were into drama?
I'll
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, like in school and college, I think those are things that I've been interested in. But when you're actually negotiating with clients and other people, I think it's more of a learned thing. I
Mm,
think when you get to meet different people, and I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of people at a very young age,
mm,
you kind of understand where where to put different people, and you
mm,
know the kind of questions that you're going to be asked.
mm,
Like after a point in time, you get to anticipate that very well. And then
mm.
your ability to pitch, the ability to make a sale, close a deal gets a lot better. So again, it involves a lot of agile behavior, as I said.
So you mentioned that meeting people is one of the things that has possibly helped you, particularly at a younger age. What do you think students in college or maybe parents who want their children to be more open can do, particularly in smaller towns, if they want their kids to try and be more
I do
vocal?
understand the I do understand the trepidation of letting people out of your sight and
Mm,
letting them, out of your cocoon and letting them grow. I do understand that. But I'm not sure how many people can grow within the confines of their home. I don't think
mm,
that is realistically very possible. If you do, great, but I'm not quite sure that applies to the majority.
mm,
Being a little bit uncomfortable is the only way you're going to get any kind of growth. And that involves going out of your house, going and meeting a lot more people with perspectives that might be vastly different from the ones that you grew up in and the ones that your home setting says that
mm.
you have. So I would recommend meet as many people as possible, gather as many perspectives as possible, listen to people, don't be afraid to share your opinion, but really absorb what people are saying and get different perspectives because there's no bigger marketing lesson than people. It's absolutely fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating to just watch the different kind of opinions that you have. There
Uh,
could be no bigger marketing lesson than talking to people.
Sometimes people tend to stop listening to others when they don't like what they hear. But I think entrepreneurs shouldn't do that.
Entrepreneurs will never hear what they want to hear. I think developing a really thick skin in that aspect is very important because majority of the time you're not going to hear what you want to hear. People will say you're too early, you're too late, you're too slow, you're too fast, you're too this, you're too that. You will hear all of that and you have to get used to it.
Very, very well. So, how did you get the opportunity to meet people at an early stage?
So I would say I'm a very extroverted person in general, so for that I am thankful. Apart from that, I have had the opportunity to interact with a lot of people through various clubs, through various membership forums or business forums, and um, through different extracurricular activities, and just
Mm,
going and talking to a lot of people. And whenever I've had to put up fests and stalls, that there could be no better place because you're speaking directly to an end customer. If you're in the D2C space and you get to do that and the end customer is right there, amazing. You get direct feedback, you get to know where they're coming from, what their struggles are, how you might be able to alleviate them. So striking up a conversation with anybody and everybody is not something that I'm generally quite afraid of. So I've been a little bit fortunate in that aspect to do that. And that's helped me.
and I believe D2C is direct to customer. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So my next question is, why did you choose entrepreneurship?
I would say honestly that it was kind of thrust upon me because I didn't really expect to do it
Mm-hmm.
because it was this really weird time between COVID and we didn't really know what was happening. So it's just something that I sort of fell into because of my family. And somehow I think it taught me a lot of things, significantly more things than I would have ever learned if I had gone for a corporate job. That's for sure. I have learned so much over the last 5 years that I can now safely say so many things. If I knew, then I would have been able to change the way that I handle a lot of things. So the amount of learning, absolutely unmatched. I don't think that you can get that anywhere else. So it was very accidental, but I'm really happy that that's the part that worked out for me.
Thank you. Well, Hanushree, a lot of business advisors, they keep talking about finding the blue ocean, your niche, and then there is something called this USP. So, can you tell us what have been these when you started your business?
I'll tell you what, these things are a little bit difficult to assume for any entrepreneur
Mm,
because I have found that a lot of really young founders, myself included, really thought, you're the unicorn amongst all of these people. You're so special. Like only you could have come up with this. It's honestly not true, and it's not exactly a very um it's not a right way to guide somebody to say that you might be the only fish in this huge pond. It's not
Mm.
true. There are plenty of fishes out there, but what matters is that you have the resources that you need, or you can build resources, or you are agile enough to move, and you have the ability to compete in a very, very large. That's what really matters. There will be points that will be unique to you. There'll be points that will be unique to your competitor, and you just need to know where you're placed and be consistent with your effort. I think that's what really matters. And creating a niche, that's great. If you have the ability to create a niche where there are very few people like you, amazing. But it also means that not a lot of people will get you very quickly. And if they don't really understand you, it means that you'll kind of face a lot of rejections, and that's something that you need to get used to.
I think whether it is business or even as an individual, when we think others should understand us, we make our life more difficult.
Mhm.
Uh, what are your views on that?
Certainly, certainly. So I had a session today that you were mentioning earlier. I think you expect people to understand you because if you're doing something really niche or really technical, something that you're really proud of, which you have every right to because it's your baby, I think that you expect the other person to share your level of excitement, which is honestly not possible. They may be, they may not be. But what is really important to know is how you present yourself and how you present your idea. It should be enough that even a person who is completely disinterested should be able to understand the
Mm.
essence of what you're doing. In order for you to do that, you need to keep it as simple as possible. It's ridiculously simple. Like you have to follow the KISS formula. Keep it simple, stupid. Like absolutely simple it has to be simple, it has to be short, and they should be able to understand what you're doing. And then afterwards, if they ask you a follow-up, feel free to geek out, talk about why you love it so much, go technical if they're willing to listen to you. But it's important to not really expect someone to share your level of enthusiasm because it's likely that they won't. It's not
Um,
their, yours.
so keeping it simple and stupid, I think that is a little bit difficult for a lot of entrepreneurs. How can they learn this?
This is a very iterative process where you kind of go through this over and over and over again, right? I have found that when you're entering pitch meetings, or if you're entering a room full of investors, or just anybody in general where you're talking about yourself or your company, it's important to keep in mind that you should keep it under around 30 to 45 seconds. If you have the
Mm.
ability to convey your point within 30 to 45 seconds, great. That
Mm.
means you've captured what you're doing and you've boiled it down to the bare minimum essentials of what you're doing. And that I think is a really important practice for you to keep doing over and over again. And the more you speak to people, you'll understand. If you go to large networking events, there's no way you can sit and explain your idea to somebody for like 10, 15 minutes at a time because you have so many people to meet. So when you have that as a practice, you will end up eventually creating a pitch for yourself. When you talk to a lot of people, you need to be able to say, "Hi, I'm Hanushree, I do this, I do that." And then blah, 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 blah. And then they ask you follow questions and you can answer it.
As you mentioned about meeting people and giving the details, particularly if people attend conferences and so on, um, lots of people come to the same place. Lots of people want others to know about their business. They exchange business cards. Talk about their stories. You come back home with 50 business cards, and then you just dump them in some box or at your desk, and you don't look back at those cards at all. So, what would be the best way to make the best use of these types of conferences?
I mean, I would segregate it into a few different things.
Mhm.
Firstly, keeping in touch with everybody is realistically very difficult, but it would be helpful if you at least store their numbers, for
mm,
whatever it may be, or connect with them on LinkedIn to it may benefit you in the future. But when you go to these conferences and if you have a clear goal in mind, let's say it's to rake in more business or if it's to meet new people for a particular networking opportunity, I would say rank it in different sections. Make sure you mark them. So I've had this habit of marking really important business cards that could be potential leads and potential clients and keep them aside and make sure that I follow up on them. So it's not necessary that all 50 may be useful for you, but I would say rank the most important ones that you feel will be beneficial, and then from there you create a high priority approach to one thing and then slowly taper down.
and when they categorize this, what on what basis should they decide who is the high priority individual whom they should connect with first?
Well, it depends on what exactly your purpose is. Are you going to the conference to get more business or more vendors, or what is your goal? It
Mm,
depends on what your goal is thoroughly. If it's a mixture of both, if you want high quality vendors who might provide you something at a cheaper rate,
mm,
then keep those as your list of priorities. Or if that's not on your priority today and what you want is more business, more clients, more people with whom you can do cross collaborations, those would be high on the list. Or if it's people who might have a network that you think you can join, then that will be high on your priority. Or if it's somebody that you just casually want to get to know, then I'm sure you'll put the effort to talk to them yourself.
so as an entrepreneur, what is the biggest challenge for you today?
I mean, again, wearing multiple hats is
Mm,
really important. And I think you don't really get to turn your brain off a lot, but I
mm,
would say turning it off forcibly to get some time off is something that's really important, because I think as entrepreneurs, we face a lot of rejection and a lot of negativity, and a lot of those things are very consuming mentally. And I think
mm,
it's important to take a little bit of a step back every now and then and create a little bit of space for yourself with things you enjoy
mm,
and de-stress a little. It's very easy to say, but by de-stress, I just mean like replacing whatever you're stressed about with things that you enjoy.
mm.
And I don't think there's anything called a work-life balance. I think you just take whatever you can whenever you can. That's pretty much it.
So I was about to ask about how entrepreneurs should take care. What should they do to take care of their health? Because every day there is like your BP going up and down every time you see that your excitement goes high, and suddenly you see a rejection, and then you're like,
See,
what did we do wrong here? So.
I see, I'll tell you what, I am somebody who is very vocal about taking care of your personal health. I
Mm,
feel like while the business is very stressful and you need to be able to provide, and there is so much to think about, you can't do it at the cost of you, because if
mm,
you're not there, then what's the point? The business is just, it's not there. So what does it
mm,
matter?
mm, mm,
So if you're going to be doing that, if you need to be well enough for you to be able to run your business, that means that whatever level of cushioning and firefighting you do for your business, you need to extend that same courtesy to yourself. If it means that you need a little bit of servicing,
mm,
like your machinery does, you need to be able to do that servicing for yourself, whether it's physical or mental. If you need to go
mm,
seek help, you need to be able to be open enough to do that. Or if you want a little bit of a de-stress when it comes to physical health and you want to go out to the gym or you want to do something to keep yourself active, I think those are very important priorities that you should be able to incorporate whenever you can. If you are able to insert it into your daily routine, honestly, I would recommend that that's very
mm.
important that you do. And find something that brings you joy. I found that a lot of entrepreneurs who are in the 20s, like myself, we have reverted to our 12-year-old hobbies that we really enjoy doing. And I think that has really changed the way our brain has worked, because that's been a direct outlet for all our stress. Because you connect with your inner child and you feel, okay, so all's not end, all's not broken. We still have a little part of us that's alive.
So what hobby do you pursue?
Oh, I'm a vocalist, so I really enjoy singing quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
So I continue to take music classes, and whenever I can, I go for open mics,
Oh,
and I then sing or I jam with fellow musicians, and that completely changes the way that I feel. And I also enjoy working out, and I do that as well. Reading books helps a lot too.
ah, wonderful. Actually, I got to know your sister because your sister is my friend's friend, and my friend is my music teacher. Her name is Preeti Rao.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I know.
Oh, so it's nice. Good to know about your interest in music and books. Did you read any book recently?
I'm currently reading, I think it's called A Song of Achilles. So
Mhm.
I'm part of a book club here in Coimbatore, and I'm hoping to attend the next book club reading. And I think it's called A Song of Achilles. I've just started that.
Wonderful. So yes, when you talk about going back to the hobbies, which does not involve watching something on a screen, in Instagram, I have strongly started to believe Instagram is not a hobby at all because it drains your energy in 15 minutes. Uh,
Despite being in the marketing field, I can tell you there are times where even I have wanted to just deactivate Instagram and been like, you know what? I think I'm done with you for today.
yeah, yes,
Because
we need to know when.
you
Yeah.
you need to know when to stop. It's hard, but it's addictive. But honestly, sometimes when you turn the phone off and you go outside to the real world, it feels like, oh my God, is this what I've been missing for so long?
Suddenly, the life is not that bad. Why have?
Life is not that bad. Why do I feel so bad? I have found I don't think at any point in time after you scroll through Instagram and you keep the phone down, you feel like, oh, I feel so wonderful.
I
If there's
agree.
anybody I know who feels that way, God bless you. But I don't
Yes.
know if anybody I know who finishes scrolling Instagram and is super happy.
Well, Hanushree, one question that I wanted to ask since the time I saw that video on your LinkedIn profile. What made you do that to a random
Uh,
street vendor?
Okay, so we were actually part of a 1 week long workshop called Dockyard, along with Startup Tamil Nadu and what was formerly Draper Startup House and now is Founder Startup House. So we were split into different teams, and our goal was to have a survival day where we had to show how we were going to survive on the streets by helping out a local vendor and earn a meal.
Hmm.
So when we were challenged with that, we thought, okay, let's go around the streets. And we really did. We went around looking for different people to help, and we helped some of them. And then we saw this lady, and I don't know what made her say yes, because I would not have said yes to but randomly six people just coming in front of the shop saying, can I help you? And she so sweetly said yes. I don't know why she trusted us, but she did. And I think it genuinely helped her, and it also helped her family business as well. Because immediately after we came there, we taught them how to use AI to build their business and what it means to use it for creating menus and other things. And now, if you look at their Instagram, I've seen so many AI generated menu cards and AI
Lovely.
generated photos that she's putting. And so many, like she's so agile and so quick at all of this, and her children are also helping. We taught her children how to help, and we
Mhm.
taught them what unit economics means, like how much does it cost for you to make it, how much do you want to sell it for, will you be okay if you create a deal with it. And it was so eye-opening for her, for her children, and for her husband. So I think at the end of the day, that program was life-changing for all of us.
Thank you so much for highlighting that, Hanushree. And dear viewers, if you have been wondering, will AI take your job away, or is AI dangerous and so on? We do not know if there is one answer to that, but I'd say maybe you should play with it. Just like,
Yeah,
uh,
I mean, I would say play with it. I'll tell you what, I'm a very scatterbrained kind of person. And for me, I have too many thoughts in my head at once. For me to organize it neatly, AI has been great at that. I find it very difficult to organize my thoughts and to organize it in a neat fashion where, okay, this is priority one for today, priority two for today, priority three for today. It's changed my life.
Mhm.
I would say use it for good things like that. Maybe don't let it replace your brain entirely, but let it like maybe organize your brain a little.
Mm.
That helps.
What kind of AI tools do you use?
So right now I've just been playing around with quite a bit.
Mhm.
I'm a huge brand loyalist when it comes to certain things for absolutely no reason. As a
Mhm.
marketer, I shouldn't be saying that, but I'm a huge brand loyalist for no reason. I've been loving Claude of late
Mhm.
because I find that it's a very, very human experience to an AI versus Gemini or ChatGPT, where I feel like you kind of can tell that it's an artificial intelligence with certain very generic responses. But Claude, I feel, has been really, really good. Absolutely good. I'm huge fan of Claude.
Hanushree, what would be your advice to the budding entrepreneurs?
Um, if I had to say what uh, one piece of advice I want to give, be very clear why you're doing what you're doing.
Hmm.
That's the main thing because that's what you kind of need to keep going back to. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this over and over again? That extends to the policies of your business, that extends to the kind of product or service you're selling. Why? That having a really solid answer for that really helps. Sometimes the why changes here and there, but I think that is very, very important to have. Apart from that, there are so many things that that I would have done really differently. The way I would have structured my business. There's so many things to think about, but simply just understanding why you're doing what you're doing, that would help. And if you can, take help wherever you can. If there's no pride in doing so, I did this single-handedly. Great, like good for you, but like take help.
On the same lines, I want to go back to the health aspect for a minute. What made you fix that health is going to be your priority, no matter what you're doing, your entrepreneurship journey or your goals, whatever it might be? What brings you back to the focus on your health?
I'll tell you what. So I think as a very proud Gen Z, I would say that I think our generation has been a little bit cognizant of the fact that our previous generation has really, really, really worked extraordinarily hard at the expense of their health, and that has
Hmm.
resulted in multiple grievances in many ways. I think Gen Z has been very quick to understand that maybe all of this running around will not be worth it if there's not a person around for that. So it would be really important for the sake of our future family, and for the people that we love around us that we should take care of ourselves, be it physically or mentally. That's something that I think we owe to the people who are around us and for ourselves to do.
Wonderful. So then another point that I wanted to get back to you. I think I missed that. But yeah, okay. How did you work on your communication skills?
I watched a lot of people speak.
Hmm.
I kind of like listening to different people speak, their intonations,
Hmm.
the way they enunciate, why they say the certain things the way they do. I watch a lot of stand-up comedy. I watch a lot of the way people deliver jokes, how it lands. I consume a lot of content in that way. And I also like watching other people do what they do. And honestly, people fascinate me. That's one of the reasons why my communication skills improve. People
Lovely.
really fascinate me. The minute you look at the psychology of why people tick the way they tick, I think the way you communicate will change. Because you see yourself putting yourself in their shoes and you want to communicate to them effectively. I want to be able to reach you. So if I need to be able to reach you, I kind of need to know where you're coming from. And that happens the more you get to talk to people. So I would say a fascination in people and watching how other people communicate is an easy way for you to pick up communication skills as well.
Wonderful. You reminded me of the words of Fred Rogers, a person who made television programs for children in the USA. and he says, "We are so lost in information than wonder." And when
Yeah.
he expressed how much you love people, I realized you are actually uh, impressed by all the variety we have, and whatnot.
Certainly. I am forever in awe of whatever choices people make and why they make them. I constantly find myself wondering, okay, what must have led to this choice? Good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. What must have led to this choice? What must have done this? What, like, understanding why people tick, that is the cornerstone of every marketer, every entrepreneur, because you need to know how why a person takes that way. If you don't, then it's going to be really hard to convince them of anything.
Wonderful. So, thank you so much for inspiring us to fall in love with people, and to fall in love with ourselves, take care of our health, and take entrepreneurship as a game. And it was a pleasure talking to you. It was a pleasure listening to a lot of interesting perspectives you got to the table, particularly in the way you got it to this interview. It was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so
But
much.
yeah, thank you. But before we wrap up, as you said, you are into music. If you don't mind, can we listen to a few lines from you?
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. I don't know what I'm going to say. So there's this jazz song that I've been
Hmm.
learning over the last few days. So I'll probably sing the first line. And again,
Why
it
not?
embraces a lot of whimsy, and
Hmm.
I quite like that. And I think it goes, you say it's only a paper moon sailing over a cardboard sea, but it wouldn't be make believe if you believed in me. Say it's only a canvas sky sailing over a muslin tree, but it wouldn't be make believe if you believed in me. So I've been very fond of that song because, again, I think thinking that the whole world is a bunch of, make believe, and then but still finding some love and peace within all of that is, it's a very cute message.
Lovely. Can you tell our audience what make believe is as well, please?
I mean, make believe is something that's not exactly true.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what make believe is. It could be, it's not necessarily a lie, but it's a story.
Mm-hmm.
It's a story that you make up with your own imagination. That's why you call it make believe.
Lovely. So I'm sorry to extend this, but as you touched upon this aspect of story, one of my friends who is a storytelling coach often says there are stories you tell the world, there are stories the world tells you, and there are stories you tell to yourself, and the third one is the most important one.
Yeah.
So what kind of stories do you tell yourself? If you could tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, so there's this song called Ke Sara Sara, and I think you might know that song. It's a very famous song, I think popularized by Doris Day in the 60s. And what she says is, I asked my mother, I asked my lover, she asked a lot of people, what will I be? What will I be? And then the line goes, whatever will be, ke sara sara means whatever will be. The future is not ours to see.
Hmm.
And then ke they say ke sara sara. The
Okay.
story I tell myself is that whatever will be will be. And I think it's just important to just keep going.
Mm.
And it one day when you take a step back and you actually look, you'll see you've come a really, really far. You've come very, very long way. And it always helps to just take a step back and just look, see what you did. And I think that that's very significant to do. That's what I keep telling myself. One day you'll get to look back and you'll get to see how far you've come.
That's wonderful. So we would love to wish you all the best for your journey and the day and many more days like that where you look back and feel glad about what you have done for yourself and for others. We wish you all the best for your business, for your life in general, and thanks a lot for highlighting a lot of important things in today's interview. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Balaji. It was an absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you.